Thank you, everybody, for joining us today. I mean, who better to talk to about LATAM than these three gentlemen who all represent Siemens across that geography that is 5 times the size of Europe, 2 times the size of China, and a region that has rich resources, an incredibly talented and well-educated population that has an up-and-coming industry, and anything really that also unites us with values, language here in Europe, and soon also by the Mercosur agreement, which is going to come into interim, or like the Chancellor said, interim/final effect on the 1st of May. Now, Siemens has been in this geography for a long, long time, well over 150 years, building the first telegraph line from Rio to Montevideo. And so we are long-standing partners for the region, and Siemens is really part of the local furniture as much as we are a global enterprise. And I want to be talking to these three gentlemen about what makes this region so unique now. And Eduardo, maybe we start with you.
We would like to say that we share a lot, but we also have a lot of differences. But what we do share is that we've been going through changes and volatility forever since Latin America exists. At the inauguration, it was said that the German immigration to Latin America, it's about 200 years old already, although there were Germans before that. And Siemens is not an exception. It's there. And we've learned as a region, but also as a company, to cope with that changes and volatility, to develop a huge resilience, and to be able to supply the world with energy, with food, with minerals, and with knowledge, the people that are there, in a very fast and adaptive way, I would say.
Alejandro, what about you?
Well, I'm convinced that Latin America, it's an awesome region. I would like to ask anybody in the audience from Latin America?
Oh.
Okay. Anybody who wished to be in Latin America? Okay, so we have 100%. Good. And why is that so? I mean, I think Latin America is awesome for many, many reasons. One is markets. We have incredible markets, incredible customers in the region, starting in the south, in South America with mining, with food tech in Brazil, process industries, oil and gas, food tech as well, manufacturing, machine building, and then going up to Mexico with automotive, with CPG, and many others. So it's a high variety of interesting markets, and a high variety of talent. Looking at people, very complementary talent development in the region. So we, as Siemens, we do share a lot to develop and serve the customers in a best way. The other thing is openness, free trade agreements. So it's a very open region for trade. We have, for instance, in Mexico, more free trade agreements and access to global markets, for instance, with Europe. We have an agreement with the European Union, to Asia, to the US. Proximity to the US, we have in Mexico more than 3,000 kilometers as a border to the US. And that's why we have what we call glocalization, which is a key driver for growth. And glocalization is not a mistake. It's global companies operating in the local markets. And that's what makes us different.
Pablo, do you want to tell us the Brazilian perspective as an Argentinian?
As an Argentinian, that's
yes.
So I would like to mention about energy transition, which is one of the biggest challenges that we have at the moment, right? And you mentioned about the size of Latin America. And can you imagine this size with a big isolation, sun, very strong sun all over the region. So solar is very productive in our regions, but also in terms of biomass, we can produce a lot. So, and also for minerals, lithium, the reserves of lithium in Bolivia, Chile, I think it's the big part of the reserves from the complete world. So Latin America is an answer for this energy transition, and also for bringing this for other countries. Yeah?
Now, I want to explore 3 things with you in the coming few minutes. We'll come back to clean energy, because that is obviously a big one that this continent and Brazil in particular stands for. Well sought after in the rest of the world from a decarbonization perspective as well. I want to talk about the region who's very used to change and volatility and what that does potentially from an innovation perspective. But I'd like to start with you again, Alejandro, and talk about glocalization in the context of resilient supply chains. Because, you know, the current conflict in Iran and with Iran and the Strait of Hormuz is just another example of many in the last few years about the fragility and the vulnerability of supply chains. So tell us about the benefits of glocalization in that context and maybe beyond that.
The key driver to explode glocalization for growth is involving the small and medium-sized enterprises in the supply chains in the region. In Latin America, 99% of the number of companies, of the quantity of companies are small and medium-sized enterprises, SMEs. So as long as we get the SMEs up to speed in terms of digitalization adoption, in terms of AI adoption, that's the driver for success. In Latin America, we have 18% of AI adoption in manufacturing industries. That means 1 out of 5 has already AI in an industrial environment, but only 5% of the industrial SMEs have adopted AI. So we have still a big gap, a good opportunity for growth altogether, and that's what we're showing here in our booth at Siemens in the Hannover Messe. How to leverage the SMEs and join them in the digital journey and transformation for adopting AI to make the supply chains stronger.
Thank you, Alejandro. And Eduardo, I'd like to come to you when it comes to dealing with constant change, dealing with volatility. There are some sectors who've been more prone to that than others. And sometimes that actually has a positive impact in terms of innovation. Can you maybe take this one?
You know that there is no market that is as volatile today as the natural gas and oil market. And we were speaking about Latin America supplying energy to the world, which is the case. And oil and gas needs to adapt itself very fast, quickly, and in a sustainable manner too, together with the environment, but also the people that work there. So we've been working on together with the customers, developing digital twin technologies to help them be faster in production. So always the main goal is to get to the first barrel or the first cubic meter as fast as possible to supply the world, but also being better in developing the people, training the people with our technology tools, make them learn about safety also, and bringing that in a more sustainable manner, using less energy and less resources to produce the same amount of energy. So Siemens is helping a lot in innovating and co-creating with the customer, which is scalable, and we can bring that to the rest of the region and the world, of course.
So a heavy industry that is also working on very innovative ways of reinventing itself, and that is going to be needed for the energy transition for quite a few more years. But of course the world is talking about green energy first and foremost these days, and this is where Brazil is the poster child with more than 90% of renewable energy on the grid, and a lot of sectors now are growing as a result of the opportunity that comes with clean energy. Pablo, tell us a little bit more about that, and what can the world learn from Brazil?
From Brazil. So from our history, it's a long history already. Brazil started with hydropower plants because it was cheaper for Brazil. Brazil is so competent on that it was cheaper. But Brazil was very clever in establishing the infrastructure for that, and Siemens has been a strong part of that. All the grids, because you can produce energy, big power plants in some place, but the consumer is somewhere else. And out of this already established infrastructure all over the country, allowed later on other energies like wind in the north of Brazil or solar all over different areas to be interconnected into this big grid in Brazil, right? And everybody of you know already that the biomass in Brazil and flex cars. Do you know the flex cars in Brazil, right? Our cars, my car, for instance, the car of my wife's, you can put gasoline or ethanol in the same tank in whatever proportion. The car is just running. So it's helping a lot in order to go for this transition. And Siemens is helping in all these verticals with our automation systems, with our electrification, and also with our digitalization.
Yeah, and I find this fascinating, because your electricity grid is basically continental size, right? So for a continent like Europe, there's much to learn from how that is actually done and how it is done with energy supplies that are in fact renewable. Now, I wouldn't be sitting here with my LATAM hat, but also my people hat, if it wasn't about people as well. So let's talk about the brilliant people of Latin America, highly educated, many young people entering into the labor market, a lot of very well-trained STEM/STEAM people and professionals that are highly needed in the region, but maybe are also needed elsewhere with the demographic changes that we have. And at Siemens, we often talk about resilient supply chains, but we also talk about resilient and relevant people, because with the constant change of the world, I think this is a really important part of it. Now, Alejandro, I'd like to give it to you first. Tell us about the role people play for you.
Well, I strongly believe that people is the one most important differentiator of why Latin America has a very, very strong potential. And why is that so? I would say the Latinos, we have a strong sense of resiliency. I mean, almost every country has been through several crises of different in different areas. So we have been trained already to be resilient, and that helps a lot in driving business forward. Agility, mindset, growth mindset, a very highly curious population, and very young population. If we take the average population in Latin America is in the low 30s. And if we compare that to developed countries like Germany, Japan, or others, which are in the very high 40s, that means a very solid foundation for the future. You were saying education. We as Siemens are investing heavily in education. We invest in low-income areas, in elementary schools, in which we have trained more than 1 million kids throughout Latin America with the Siemens Foundation. And we continue to do that in high school and universities. We have, as a matter of fact, in Mexico, more STEM graduates every year than Germany, for instance, which is a very, very solid foundation for the future. So I strongly believe that the people topic is the single most important aspect why Latin America is unique in the world.
Thank you, Alejandro. And Eduardo, I'd like to turn it to you next. I often say learning is like going to the gym. Yeah, you lose muscle tissue pretty quickly if you don't train. I think the same is true for learning. Tell us how you think about that.
And it is very true, especially for us. I was talking at the beginning that we are resilient and adapted to changes region and with a young population, as you say. But still, we have the challenge of designing and developing a lifelong learning attitude, to stay relevant, to develop a sustainable employability along our life. We've been very active in the whole of Latin America in promoting that our people does that. We have more than 1,100 people already learning about AI and data, and half of our staff is already active on Siemens GPT, for example. If I measure myself to that, I would say I am not satisfied, and I think it's a good thing to keep on thinking should I do more? How should I implement that? Roland said last year that we will be the last generation to have led only human teams. Yeah, and we need to develop some agents today. We are also the first generation to lead mixed teams, hybrid teams, which is good. I really think that we still need to do a lot to continue with that. We have achieved a lot also in learning, and we have wonderful tools to do that.
Yeah. And I think it's really important to understand that for the very first time in humanity, technology develops faster than typically we learn. So it really is on all of us to make sure that we keep up and that we keep learning. I think it's more important and more critical than ever for people's own sake in terms of remaining relevant, but also for companies like us to stay competitive. Now, people is maybe about our people at Siemens, but really success lies in collaboration.
That's it.
Lies in ecosystems, lies in partnerships.
Partnerships.
Pablo, tell us more about that.
That's a very important point, because no one is alone as good as a team can be, and that happens also with partnership. And I mean business partnerships, of course, with our partners that are here also, but also partnerships with associations, with institutions, with education institutions. In Brazil, we have a strong partnership with Senai. Senai is the biggest technical school all over, is spread all over Brazil, bringing a lot of talent, new talents, not only for us, but for the whole industries in Brazil. So that's a very important topic. There's one case here that is partnership together with social engagement. And I challenge all of you, or invite all of you to visit us in the Brazilian booth, or also in the Natura here in the CPG part. You're going to see how we, Siemens, with partners, we are engaging in order to improving lives of people that have disadvantages, living in the rivers of the Amazon forest, extracting good stuff from the Amazon, and how we engage our technology in doing that. So both topics, I think, in partnership, and this social engagement is something that in Latin America, I can imagine in all the regions, is very strong. We mentioned, I think, Alejandro, you mentioned already the Siemens Foundation.
Yeah.
The Siemens Foundation is a big way to do that for us, to engage particularly in education on young age.
Yeah. So I have visited that booth. You get some nice goggles. You even get some nice smell in terms of the oils that we're extracting, or that Natura is extracting in the Amazon, in a way that is really very regenerative, helps the local community, brings skills to the local community as well. So it's one of the cases that I can only double down on. Please go and visit our booth there. But I would like to leave you with a first impression of LATAM as we look at it, a very diverse region, a region full of opportunities. And I think like teams have complementary skills, I think we also see that in the world. And therefore, as Siemens, we're really all about, from a values perspective, an open world order where every geography also brings in their strength, where we as Siemens can bring our technology and partner with the sectors that make up Latin America, the well-established ones as well as the new ones that are up and coming. And how we want to support that. Now, you mentioned the Brazilian booth. Let me also say, if you are excited about our technology, please look around. If you are excited about Siemens, we also have a team that is happy to talk to you about all the wonderful opportunities of working at Siemens. So, any final words of wisdom from you?
Let's avoid football, right?
Oh, yeah. That's a big one.
Soccer. In a couple of months, we will not be working together.
No.
We will be working against each other.
Against each other, yeah.
Oh, where is this going?
No, Brazil, Mexico,
Let's see.
Argentina. We have a meeting in the US and Mexico.
So World Cup.
June.
So
World
we,
Cup,
we would want to welcome everyone to the World Cup coming up, and looking forward for those interesting games.
Yeah.
I
Good
wish
luck
you all
for
the best. I'm
everyone.
sorry. I feel sorry already for Argentina, Brazil, but
You're
but
from
anyway,
Costa Rica anyways.
So we will welcome anybody. So we're going to have a big party coming up. Very important event. So happy to see you all there.
And you know that the technology that we are implementing with PepsiCo, that it's also here on the booth, can help them bring to the stadium whatever is suitable for the two countries that are playing on a very dynamic and fast way. So we know what kind of snacks we are going to get at the final. No?
Yeah.
So this is about adaptive, just in time, flexible. And if you're
That's it.
interested to learn more about that, how it works, if you have a temporary factory stood up, that is adaptable to the needs of whoever comes to see the World Cup, that's your booth, right?
That's right.
Exactly.
Good. So with that, thank you. And please go off and explore if you haven't done already. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.